And just like that, we go from honeymoon to horror. And as fast as 48 hours, we've got 5 couples to break down episodes 7 through 9. But in this video, I want to do something a little bit different. I want to use my couples therapy skills to show you how I think these couples could have handled these difficult conversations differently to get better results. Welcome to Reality TV Therapy with me, Dr. Diane. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Dr. Diane Strakowski, licensed psychologist. I analyze reality dating shows, and in this series, Love is Blind, there's a ton to go into. But I don't want to add to the noise. I don't want to add to the noise about just your typical recap. I don't want to go through scene by scene because there's a lot. But there's a lot of memes out there, and people are poking fun at these couples, and I just want to slow down and say, I really respect anybody who goes on a reality dating show that puts themselves out there for our entertainment, essentially. And even myself, I'm doing armchair psychology, anticipating, thinking who they are, analyzing their attachment styles, when I don't know 100% because I'm not treating any of these people. But what I do want to cut through is that you might have real life situations like this. You might have a partner like Chelsea. You might have a partner like Clay or Kenneth. What can you do in your own couple to handle these tricky conversations? And that's how I want this to be essentially a lesson in love. Let's start with what's going well. I always like to start with the positives, and it looks like Amy and Johnny are a big green flag for me. At least one couple I'm hoping will work out. What are they doing that's really good is they're continuing what they started in the pods. They couldn't see each other. Both of them went in. It looks like for the right reason, to be authentic. Right? You are dating in the real world. It's not working for you. Your typical type isn't working. But what I love is it doesn't seem too much, too made up. You know, Amy admittedly says Johnny is not someone I typically would have gone for, but she did fall in love with his soul, and they're continuing in that theme. And she's bringing in her own ethnicity. She's trying to teach Johnny a little bit of Spanish. My only concern about this couple, and I'm going to call it a yellow flag, is Johnny's lack of knowledge on birth control. Johnny, I'm not sure how you got to be this age, but if you only think that either a woman's on using the pill or you get a vasectomy, there's a whole range in between there. Let's get you to Planned Parenthood. Let's get you talking to your doctor about condoms, sponges, IUDs, because you don't have to have a vasectomy. That's pretty serious. You're a young couple, and I really want this couple to be able to consummate their relationship. Maybe they're waiting for religious reasons, but on the wedding day, they have to have this information because it just seems like there's a lot of fear about getting pregnant in the wrong order or too soon. And I feel like he's putting that a little bit on Amy to manage it. Instead, I'd like him to actually be finding out that information. And maybe they didn't know that. In the Dominican Republic, they don't have their phones, but certainly when you get back home, Johnny, open up your phone and make an appointment and get some information. But what I did love about Amy is in the pool, she's owning her history. This is the growth. She said, in the past, I made the mistake of over-involving my parents in my romantic life. And it also makes sense that you would do that if you were an immigrant very close to your family. Remember, she said her dad had to beg people to come to her birthday party. And so I imagine there's just like a lot of family nuance and complexity. But she also says, I can't get married without my dad's permission or his blessing. And Johnny handles that well. I think as a couple, they're managing this well. He doesn't say, right, choose me over your father. That wouldn't be wise. So I like what they're doing together. We did see Johnny's family. They seem really lovely, so I'm having good feelings about them. Let me know in the comments what you think. Now let's move. I've got 5 couples to get through. I want to be cautious of time. Kenneth and Brittany. Wow, what a switch up. If you were like me, you're like, what just happened there? So what's the problem is it's almost like Kenneth is like angry with Brittany. The only thing we've seen as viewers is that he's really spending time with AD and Clay, and he's saying, God, I wish I had that. But instead, what we see, and I thought Kenneth was a secure type, but now to me, I don't have enough information to know whether he's a little bit more avoidant, kind of introverted type, because he otherwise seems pretty extroverted in the pods, but all of a sudden he's talking about my people. And it feels like it has an edge. And then, so here, the crickets are like, the silence is deafening. They're on their honeymoon in paradise, and Brittany's just trying to get like a little loving from her fiance, right? I'm so glad we're on the water for you. And he is just so in his thoughts, so shut down. I'm sure he's thinking, I've made a mistake. Get me the heck out of here. I don't know what to do. But it just feels like he's lost her and he's like blaming her somehow. It feels harsh. Okay. I don't want to put Kenneth on blast. Again, there's too much noise here. I think he's just scared. And he might be an introvert and just not have as many skills, because this is a lot of conflict, right? This is hard to say nothing against you, but we went from you're my everything, you're great, God is blessed, you're beautiful, to I don't even want to touch you. And then what's more is the confusion, right? My past partners have said that I'm too affectionate, when Brittany's saying, I just want a simple touch. And so what she's asking for doesn't sound like a lot. And the only thing that perks Kenneth up is the dolphins, right? And that one of them was named Ken before. But here she is. They get back to Charlotte and it just gets worse, right? It goes down. He gets his phone back and he is so absorbed. And like, who is a principal texting? Is this all work related, or is he texting saying, oh my God, I've made a mistake. Come get me. I'm in trouble. But Brittany, bless her heart, she's trying to engage, like, let's unpack together, cook. And she's getting the phone cold shoulder. So let's just break it down. If I was Kenneth, what could I be doing better? I'd look into Brittany's eyes and I would take accountability. Because here's what doesn't work, right? That whole scene with desire and this argument around her not desiring him enough. At this point, they've decided not to have sex. That was a mutual decision they made in the pods. But even if it's true, even if Brittany had more desire for him, she knew what she was getting into. She wasn't disappointed with his looks. At least she didn't say that. So he's just got to take accountability. Brittany, I'm so sorry. I went into this experiment, Love is Blind, with my heart wide open. And I feel like I've just been naive. I've dated Black women in the past for a reason. I feel like it's really, truly more in line with what I want and what I see for a family. And bless your heart, you're trying to be accommodating and try to talk about what it would be like. And all I can think of is that I've led you on, and I'm so sorry. You deserve so much better. And if there's a way that I can back out of this and not cause you any more harm, I need to just set you free. You don't deserve my cold shoulder. You just deserve what I promised you, which is, at the end of the day, we would talk these things through, and I'm just shutting down, and I am forever sorry that I put you through that. Okay, wouldn't that be better? I just was hoping more from Kenneth, but I get it's hard. And again, I'm just armchairing it, saying in all my years of clinical experience, what I would see as a better conversation and what successful couples would do to move through that. Okay. And sometimes it's about breaking up, keeping the person's self-esteem intact, acknowledging your part in it, acknowledging I tried, I thought I would be different, but here we are. Okay. Let's move to Chelsea and Jimmy. Actually, I had a little bit of hope. Okay, it was more like a green flag as this episode 7 starts out. I think that this couple's on track. Jimmy acknowledges, I didn't understand you. I needed to validate you. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit stubborn. I'm a little bit hard-headed. They have a nice little chuckle between them. This is what's called repair. I think they do it successfully. And we're like, okay, good. And then we see, some fun stuff. They're out dune bugging. They talk about, what's working. So I don't want to pile on more. There's plenty of memes out there making fun of Chelsea. It's really what we're seeing is anxious attachment style in the wild. Okay, and check out my previous videos because I go into this, and this couple, Chelsea being the anxiously attached, high expressive type, and now we have Jimmy, who I think is the avoidant, and I think he's also high expressive. He actually shares more than I thought. Watch my previous videos, tell me what you think, but I think that's what we have right here. So it's a little bit of oil and water. Again, they attract, opposites attract, but they can also attack. Put that in your notes. They attract but attack, and this is what's happening. It's a vicious cycle because what happens is Chelsea floods Jimmy. Do you love me? Do you love me enough? Are you going to cheat on me? My prior people have cheated on me. How much do you love me? Do you think I'm beautiful? Am I your type? It's on and on and on. Jimmy is getting flooded. Whoa, too much. He tries to soothe her, but it's not soothing her nervous system. And in attachment styles, this is why I call this type nervous Nora. It's her nervous system. Chelsea is dysregulated. That's why I don't want to make another funny meme about her being difficult.
I feel like you don't like me. Did I like you more when I thought you looked like Megan Fox? Yes, but do I like you? No, I love you. I love you. What are you thinking about right now? Thinking about it's Jessica's celebrity doppelganger. Who?
Okay, she is dysregulated, and what happens is she needs to be able to calm herself down because otherwise she's going to say things she doesn't mean. They are going to get into trouble quick. Okay. A couple details here. We do meet Chelsea's friends. I thought that went great, but then when we meet Jimmy's friends, I think this is a trigger to Chelsea. First off, were these the only friends you could bring? Because I've followed Jimmy on Instagram. It looks like he's got like a lot of male friends. Why didn't he bring those friends? Like, I just find it an interesting choice. Now, having said that, the positives, if I bring opposite sex friends to meet my friend, they're going to help me analyze in a different way, right? The women are going to sleuth out other women versus men are going to say, yeah, she's great, she's beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Not give you as much information, but this is what is triggering to Chelsea. Oh my gosh. She had to deal with Jessica and the memory of that, and now finding out that he saw a picture of Jessica, but now to have to deal with these friends are in your face. And I don't know about you, but Jimmy, given how sexual he is, my first thought is when we see the previews for the next episodes, is Chelsea upset because he slept with one of those friends, or did he really sleep with Jessica? I don't think Jessica, just knowing who she is, she would know that this is public, and she's still pissed at him because he didn't choose her. I don't know. I don't think it's Jessica. I think it's one of these friends. Let me know in the comments what you think. Did Jimmy sleep with one of these female friends, or is it Jessica? I don't know at this point. We'll find out. But here's the thing. I want to just get to what I think Jimmy could have done better. Say this is you have an anxious partner, you've been validating them, you've been reassuring them to the best of your ability, but it's like nothing settles because she's like a sieve, right? It's like it all just goes through you. And what happens is you give and give and give, and then you just feel like you're walking on eggshells, right? Like you never know when she's going to be upset because she gets dysregulated and she has a lot of triggers. Now, here's the thing that I thought was fascinating. I think it's when she's with her friends and they're talking about the process that she says, I've done so much work on myself and I'm so mature. Well, that goes to tell you that Chelsea was worse at some point, even more anxious, even more needy. And of course, Jimmy uses the word clingy, and that's not good. That's like telling the person you're too much. And so, of course, she has a strong reaction to this. And she's done some work, but there's obviously more to do. And now the problem is we're up against time. So I'm Jimmy. I'm looking at Chelsea, and what do I say? I say, sweetheart, you know I love you. And now we both chose each other in the pods, right? You told me that I was a better fit for you than Trevor. I told you that you were a better fit for me than Jessica. We really need to focus on each other and shut that noise down. We are engaged now. We made this choice. It's you and me together in this process. But here's the thing. I've been paying attention to what you've been saying. And I get that, the other day I came forward, I said, I'm sorry I made you uncomfortable. but we're going to be in a marriage and you might need more from me. And what about my needs too, right? We both have to talk about, and we've been spending a lot of time talking about what you need and what you want, but I have some equal needs. And here's the other thing. I don't want to scorekeep, but I actually started thinking, is she right? Am I not kissing her? Am I not telling her I love her? Am I not telling her she's beautiful? So I did an experiment. Did you notice? Oh, you didn't. Okay. Because yesterday, after you gave me that feedback, I kissed you at 9:10 in the morning. I texted you at 1:10, said I love you, thinking of you. I kissed you when I got home. Did you notice those? Okay, I did my own experiment. You see, you're trying to trap me, and I'm saying I am doing those things. But I wonder if it's you. I wonder if you have trouble receiving my love. And if you're going to be self-sabotaging us, I'm worried. So how can I help you? I'm not threatening to leave you. I'm not abandoning you. How can I help you calm down so we can move through this stuff faster? I can't take all the blame and the responsibility for this. And I want to tell you a little bit about me. Do you want to hear what I need? Actually, let me ask you, what do I need? Probably Chelsea doesn't know. She's been really self-absorbed. That's what the anxious person is. But here's the thing. Jimmy is going to need, as an independent person / avoidant, he's going to need space, distance, time alone, and he's going to need peace and respect from his partner. And what happens is when people come to couples therapy, it's because they're not getting their attachment needs met. We project from what we didn't get on our parents, or we did or didn't get, we move that into our romantic relationships. This is why friends don't trigger that, but romantic relationships will. Jimmy they both need to learn each other. That's what successful couples do. And then you say, I don't want to trigger you. I love you. How can I help? And keeping each other calm is at the root of it. She's dysregulated. She needs skills, some on her own, some as a couple to help her calm down. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments if you want to hear more about this. Okay, I've got to move on to Jeramey and Laura. What flags can I throw? At the beginning, I was hopeful also. The beginning of episode 7, great conversation. Jeramey says that he's sorry. Laura says that she was triggered by Jeramey. Jeramey admits that he iced her out. He went to bed angry. He's trying to mind his own business, and he knows that this isn't going to work as a couple skill. He knows he needs to be different. She didn't deserve the silent treatment. I'm like, yes, Jeramey, good. This is great. We're on the right track. But then things dissolve quickly when he's at the beach and he's telling Amy that he wants to meet Sarah Ann. Dude, you're engaged. This is not good. Okay, so the problem here is now, we see them on their trip. Again, I already am feeling, and I said this last time, that Laura just gets the ick with a lot of things pretty easily. And, his wearing a Hawaiian shirt, she's taking it too personally, and somehow check. Nobody's been good enough, right? She told us in the pods early on in the women's quarters that no one had ever been good enough. So this is on Laura. So I'm saying that these are two avoidant people. The only difference is Laura is more high expressive, and so she thinks she's a good communicator, but she doesn't see some of her own blind spots. And Jeramey is also avoidant, but low expressive. So we're going to see more passive aggressiveness, and you know what that means. Okay, so both of them as a couple would need to learn how to calm down together. Instead, they turn away from each other, not towards each other. And no one's the anchor here. They would do better, each of them, if one of the other partner was secure functioning, or you just saw opposites also can attack. That's not necessarily better. But here's the setup for the secret rendezvous. Okay, and I think the producers put this in this order for this reason. So Laura is high expressive, as I said. We get to see her with her family. And she even uses the word ick. She's describing to her dad all the icks. And her dad and mom, both of them are doing a little bit of eye rolling like, here we go. We thought that this would work, and here we are again. This family has heard this before. And then I'm not sure if it's her sister or her sister-in-law. They're outside. They're talking about the Hawaiian shirts. And Laura's like as if she's had to deal with the Hawaiian shirts. I don't know. It's like it's like a guy doesn't like his wife wearing crop tops, but she wears them. Is he going to be so incensed? Even the sister says, not that big a deal. Like, let him express himself. So, simply thinking of them as a couple, I don't see Laura taking a lot of accountability for her behavior. And this was a big miss for me. So, in the previous episode where she was so upset with Jeramey because he shared their private information, which should have been the whole bean dip private thing, and he shared that and she was embarrassed. I think Jeramey is equally embarrassed for how she presented him to her family. She shares the private love triangle in front of her parents, right? It's like, how is that any different, Laura? And I needed her to take some accountability of that. And let's face it, I also have to say, it looks like Jeramey probably feels at this point is that he's not good enough. Laura is an educated person. He is not. He's a contractor. And it sounds like this is coming up where he's already thinking she has a lot of needs, OCD, cleanliness. They both matched on that and they joke about that. But I think him not feeling completely loved and accepted by her is what's pushing him towards Sarah Ann to wonder, what did I miss? Because even though he said there was more sexuality, more banter, it wasn't also serious. He's also thinking this is too serious and I want something else. So what could she have been doing better? Okay, if I'm Laura, I would go to Jeramey and I'd say, oh man, I'm sorry. Shame on me. I told myself I was going to be more positive and upbeat, and I must have embarrassed you in front of my family. How do you feel? Ask him. Okay. I think it was bad. It was bad. Even the mom is out there saying, like, please tell me there's something good. And she's talking about, the list of pros and cons. And then she could go on further and say, listen, I've been silly, haven't I? In my past, I should know this. I'm like, I don't know why your Hawaiian shirts bug me so much. I got to get over it. If you want to wear them, go ahead and do that. And then Jeramey can say, why do my Hawaiian shirts bother you so much? And then maybe we'll get someplace with that. Okay. So I cannot justify Jeramey's behavior in any way. But I do think what happened is Jeramey was triggered by this conversation with her family. And then he felt like he was just going to escape, right? He was just, and here's the thing that I don't get. Please help me understand this. They are mic'd and filmed 24/7. How did this even happen? Okay, on previous episodes, they stay in their compound. They can only go to work. But now he's off with the guys and there's somehow this interaction and Sarah Ann is there. I mean, I have to be honest with you. I don't even know how this happened. But I think maybe Jeramey went to the producers and said things are not going to work out. And so he saw it as just like his escape. I don't know what the meaning of it is, but because Jeramey, in my mind, is a low expressive type, he doesn't talk through conflict. So sometimes the person acts out, and that's what Jeramey's doing. Okay, passive aggressive kind of acting out. I don't know what it means. Does it mean that they're over? Or did it mean that he was just curious and he was hurt? Because that meaning is going to have everything to do with whether they get through this. Now, we see Laura in the end saying, I'm out, right? You shared your location. Like, I'm supposed to praise you for that. She figured it out. Okay, she was smart and figured it out. And I think, he's got his sunglasses on. He says, I don't want to talk about that. I mean, he seems guilty. I don't know if that's the truth. And again, this post about receiving all this negative feedback, but Laura would have to be more accountable that she triggered him. He would have to stay put through that conflict and speak up instead of acting out. So not good for either one of them. It's just not going to bode well. Okay, let's get to the couple that everybody's waiting on, AD and Clay. There were some positive moments. I even liked that kiss in the car, and there's some cuteness with this couple. But all things go downhill with the soup. I mean, AD lost her man to that big bowl of soup. She's eating her protein, and he's just like slurping it up. And the look on her face when she rolled her eyes, I'm like, oh, girl, he's gone. You lost him to the soup. But I have said that both of this couple, they're the anxious types. I think There's something about Clay we have to get to because a lot of people are calling him out, saying that he's got more narcissistic traits. And if you really watch, he does take like a lot of personal responsibility. Like, how many times is he going to look at that ring and be like, yeah, that's the ring, as if he worked in his hard-earned money for that ring. They get the ring, part of production, maybe they choose it. I don't know if they put money towards upgrading it to a better ring, but the way that he acts about that ring is like the ring is supposed to make up for everything else, and we know that there's so much more. So when they're sitting here on vacation, I thought truly that somehow Clay was going to say that he's not financially stable and he can't like give her the life that she wants. But it turns out to be so much worse than that. It turns out, and because by the way, he has a really nice house. When they get to Charlotte, we see Clay's house. It was impressive. And then the only clue for me was, did you notice when they showed his refrigerator with all the pictures, he had like a little TikTok thing? And I thought, oh, Clay, just like all the other influencers, he wanted some attention, but he's on the wrong show, right? Go on F-Boy Island. You are on Love is Blind. What are you doing? All right. So now we have lots of conversations when they're back on the sofa and they're talking about Clay's history. Are they repeating this? Did they talk about this in the pods? I don't know. And I do appreciate the share. I really do. I appreciate the vulnerability that his father cheated on his mother, a long line of cheating. It's not good that he then throws all his married friends under the bus. I'm thinking, oh my God, they're watching this going, oh no, Clay, please don't do that. But he's talking kind of with like admiration. Did you notice that? About his dad. And he had said earlier that he was close to his dad. He admires his dad who's the serial cheater. And as a kid, he brought him along. Can you imagine what that's like? What are you, like 10? And you're sitting in the car waiting on your dad while he's servicing some woman. My heart sank for like the young Clay. But then the question is he using it as an excuse? And is he now forewarning AD? I'm telling you, cheating's in my blood. It's kind of like a cop-out. And so don't say I ever warned you or you'll be surprised when I do cheat. We've got a lot of problems up ahead. So now I want to ask you something. Have you ever heard of something called future faking? I just posted on Instagram about this. If you're not following me, go to my Instagram page. I'll link it here. And there's something called future faking. And I think it applies here. Sometimes what a narcissist does to actually promise you something in the future, almost as an excuse to not deal with conflict in the present. Does that sound like Clay? He's promising her I'll be better. He promised her in the pods. I said in my last video, it was so hard because he's like leaning on Christianity and the Bible and saying Bible verses. But a lot of this is just hurt young boy stuff. And I don't see the growth. So now I'm AD. This is my partner. This is what I got. And I got to just pause for a minute. AD is handling herself, what I think is like beautifully. I mean, she jokingly talked about the red flags, but she handled Matthew well. She confronted him. The girl's got some good skills and some boundaries, and it shows that she's done some of her work. She's already been sexualized by all the couples. She handled that super well. She's on the beach. She even jokingly said to Jimmy, I appreciate that this made your relationship better. Jeramey apologizes to her. I feel like this woman has done a lot. She's like carrying the show on her shoulder. And she even knows on some unconscious level, right, while she's packing to go back to Charlotte, she said something very telling. I don't know if you caught it, right? This is going to be whether I'm going to be the bride to be or bride to be not. She knows. She knows that this is not a guarantee. Okay. So if I'm AD, okay, and I've gotten all of this, and remember, I'm sitting here, not in it. I can be calm and handle it. But I know AD can do this because she did this with Matthew. What would I say to Clay? I'd say, whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. Clay, so what you're telling me, and thank you for telling me about your family history and about your dad cheating. Here's the other thing, okay? You and I are now engaged. And you're telling me, hold up, you're telling me that I should expect, and I should even be flattered that your dad might hit on me. Is that what you're saying? Okay. So listen, I can have a lot of compassion for you. You were a little kid. It's not your fault. Your dad cheated on your mother, was unfaithful, and that was what was modeled for you. But now we are adults, and you are my fiance. And you're leaning on me and want me to do your work. But you know what I need for you to do? I need for you to support me. I need for you to actually look at your dad and say, no, Dad, we're going to stop. That's not okay. He needs to not think this is funny. So in the scope of work that Clay needs to do, we are fractions of just getting started. How are we going to get there in 2 weeks? And Clay knows this. He has said to her, I need to do some therapy. He knows that all women are going to want security, not just AD. That's not even personal to her. Okay, so AD, I just want her to hold her own, hold her head up high. I came into this experiment for the right reasons. I got rid of Matthew when I realized that he was doing the same thing to Amber. And now you were talking to me about, I got you, you've got me, you're not going to abandon me. And yet I feel like you are abandoning me. You're telling me I'm on my own with your dad? No way. And AD, stop looking and stop revering these men who are cheating on their wives as if that's in your blood, because it's not. It is a choice. And if you want to be with me, you're going to have to figure this out. And you're going to have to actually figure this out pretty quickly. Why do I say this? Now they're back in Charlotte, and AD looks beautiful. She's got flowers. She goes to meet the mom and the sister. Did you notice that Clay did not get up to greet his mother or his sister? And to me, it's so early phases of acknowledging that what my dad did was hurtful to my mother. But instead, he's praising his father, putting him out there, talking about his own ego, but this is a man he admires. If you were further along in the work, then you would say, shame on you, Dad, for hurting Mom, and you would be siding with the mother more. So while the mom tries to actually join with AD and give good advice, like, hey, Clay, if your wife is important to you, if your fiance is important to you, you will make the time for her. You kind of see he doesn't really take that in. It's kind of yeah, one more woman trying to tell me what to do. I don't know what else AD can do except act with her feet. I think she needs to say, listen, we've got 2 short weeks together. And the only way that I would even think about saying yes to you is if that you promised to get into therapy pronto, find a therapist next week and start that work and keep it up for at least 6 months. But Clay, it's not just me. All women are going to want security. I don't take this personally, but don't make a fool of me. I don't want to wait to going to the altar because you haven't decided whether you're going to cheat on me or not. I don't deserve breadcrumbs. I deserve a whole man. That's what I want for AD. All women do. But he's got that anxious style. He needs a lot of validation. I'm sure he's good at love bombing women, and he's scared. I know there's a little boy under there. I don't want to heap more on Clay, but he has so much work to do, and I'm not sure we can get any of that done in 2 weeks. Let me summarize. I know this is a longer video, but it was 3 episodes. In summary, things are not looking good. We've got Amy and Johnny, who I'm rooting for. Laura said she's out. Jimmy hasn't said he's out, but it's not looking good. From what the previews, not looking good. Clay, not looking good either. And Kenneth, right? He says he's out and this isn't going to work. So what a shame. What a shame. We got invested in 5 couples and 1 out of 5 is not great odds. But what are the lessons for you? If you're anxious and you have an anxious attachment style, work on your regulation system, work on your nervous system. You have to be calm before you carry on. If you're avoidant, work on your vulnerability, work on speaking up. No one will understand you. Don't mind read. Think that people should know who you are. You got to speak up for yourself. And if you're the secure couple, right, the whole point of all of this is becoming secure together. You may not be secure to begin with, but it's called Earning Your Attachment, where two people can come together no matter where they start and they can actually become secure together. I hope I leave you with a little bit of note of positivity and not just cutting these people up. And of course, as always, I'm just going to say these couples need therapy. They would so benefit even just from a little bit of education, just talking about what's normal, talking about helping them get through the stress. And then they would need a year's worth of therapy, which they should get for free, for having gone on the show to help them get through, because the first year of marriage is actually the toughest. We'll talk more about that, but it's because it's a lot of change. All right, that's what I'm going to leave you with today until next Wednesday, where we drop the next few episodes, and then I think we're going to have a reunion. Stay tuned till then. Thank you for watching.